Hi guys, Josh here. So thanks to Bandai Namco Entertainment Asia, today we'll be doing a PlayStation 4 review for Supermassive Games Little Hope. Little Hope is the second in the Dark Pictures Anthology series, the first being Man of Medan, which came out last year to not so great reviews. So Little Hope is in reference to the town that the characters are trapped in. The game starts off innocently with a random bus being diverted to the town itself, only to shortly after get into an accident. It is after that the game suddenly changes focus to a family that dies tragically in a fire, only to come back again to the bus crash, where we join our central character Andrew, played by Will Poulter. He then wakes up with a sense of deja vu as the family who died tragically in the fire was supposedly a dream that he was having, but somehow the people in the dream was himself and all the other people involved in the bus crash, but he never really addresses it, nor does the game try to explain it early on, so we as the player are just supposed to accept it. The game then adds on another layer of weirdness whereby the group discovers that they are unable to go back to wherever they came from, as there is a mist that keeps turning them back around. I thought it was a nice touch as it added a Silent Hill vibe, but unfortunately the comparisons stop there, and I'll explain later why the game just never comes close to what it promised early on. Along the way, players will encounter weird stick-like figures with symbols drawn on the ground. There are also a lot of lingering shots in the game that I guess were supposed to be foreboding but end up being just really awkward. Most of the time, players are just walking around, and the walking speed is actually quite laughably slow, even though early on they explicitly tell you to hold down L1 to run faster. Players will also be doing quite a few QuickTime events or QTEs, which are a staple of the series. These QTEs are relatively easy as players just need to hit the corresponding button that's shown on the screen. I only found that towards the end of the game they provide a bit of a challenge due to the speed in which the player would need to press the button. For the more adventurous players, you can also discover Deadly Omens, which provides a glimpse into the possible futures for each of the characters. I wouldn't call this essential, but it's just something you're able to collect throughout the course of the game. Players are also able to collect notes or newspaper clippings, which expand on the world building and also the lore of the game, and provide some sort of hint or insight into what's going on in Little Hope itself. Most of the activities or minigames that require quick button inputs or accurate aiming from the player serve as a tutorial towards helping characters survive down the line, and that was fine for the most part. But probably the one activity that I thought was the worst in the game is the heartbeat minigame. Players are supposed to press the button corresponding to the input shown on the screen, and yet in most of the situations, what was supposed to be an intense moment for players just turned out to be entirely too distracting or unintentionally hilarious. One moment in particular, somewhere towards the middle of the game, turned out to be one of the most hilarious moments for me, is when the on-screen character was hiding from a guy fixing his bicycle, and yet players were required to participate in the heartbeat minigame and the scene was playing out as it's supposed to be a really intense moment. And yet it just wasn't. I just couldn't understand it. Dialogue choices also return where players are required to choose between one of three choices. The first being choosing from the head, the second choosing from the heart, and the third by saying nothing at all. Luckily, for the most part, the choices that I was able to pick played out in the way I wanted them to, and that resulted in me being able to save all 5 of my characters towards the end of the game. So now that I've explained what to expect from the game, I would like to briefly explain what I liked and disliked about the game before giving you my final score. So firstly, I liked the characters. I found them much more likable than the characters in Venom Then. The graphics are okay. I thought they were pretty good. The motion capture performances were very enjoyable. I also like the monster designs. I thought they were very clever in execution. Although their reason for existing just fell apart towards the end due to how the game keeps changing the rules for their existence. Now to what I didn't like about the game. Firstly, even though the performance was very smooth, for some reason throughout my 6-hour playtime I crashed 5 times. I also feel that the formula established by Supermassive Games is starting to feel too shallow. Most of the scares in the game just felt really cheap, and towards the end, they just didn't feel very scary at all. There's a lot of recycled environments. There's a lot of walking on the streets, or just in the park, or in the jungle, or even when you get to buildings, they just all entirely blend together by the end. There's even this weird thing where characters they keep standing around. Like the game literally tells you to walk alongside certain characters, and yet they're just randomly just standing on the road. I don't know if that's a bug or if that's intentional, but it just ended up being hilarious and also creepy at the same time. I also didn't like how interactable items sometimes feel so zoomed in. It just felt really annoying. There are also continuity issues, especially when you first reach the Black Cat bar. In one scene, you will see Taylor playing darts, and when the camera shifts, suddenly she's sitting down. It was then I was wondering what was going on, but after playing through it the second time, then it became obvious to me that the developers intentionally cut out scenes from the game so you would play through it the second time. But that only made the first time much more confusing, and the motivation to play through it the second time much less. If I had to liken Little Hope to a horror movie, it would be one of those movies where you know you watched it, but you just can't remember the title of the movie, and it's just something that's there. That's how unmemorable this game is. It's not a bad one, it's just not a very good one. And because of that, the highest score that I can give Little Hope is just a 6 out of 10. Thanks guys for watching. I would just like to wish you a happy Halloween and stay tuned for more video reviews from Bunny Gaming.